Hello, this is Joe Pryor of the virtualrealestateteam.com in Oklahoma City, a part of Redbud Realty and Associates. And if you're one of my investors in Oklahoma City buying long-term investment on rental property, whether you're in-state or out-of-state, I'm here to issue an apology to you. And that apology is I'm having a hard time finding properties for you to buy. Now, that's good news and bad news, isn't it? And I want to kind of get into that explanation and just tell you what I mean. I had an investor in from California yesterday who has been investing in the Phoenix market and looking to invest in the Las Vegas market. Now, these two markets were markets that melted down in a monster fashion in 2007 and 2008. Huge sell-off in value. Well, you know, what he was telling me is that in the space of about 2 weeks, in waiting on this one property, it ended up costing him about 10% to 15% more in terms of the purchase price in Phoenix. And he said, you know, I think the Phoenix market is pretty well over. And I agree with that. It's probably, at this point, you should have been there 3 years ago. Now, the Las Vegas market he was looking into, and he wanted to make an offer on a Las Vegas condo, but there was already 40 offers in on that condo, just bidding it up like crazy. And he said, I'm not going to do that. Let me tell you what happened back in 2005, which is happening in these markets today. You have intelligent investors that went there 3 years ago. But what happens is people haven't gotten the word that the prices aren't there and the return on investment is not there and the realtors are not giving them these numbers that they need to know or even explaining it. And back in 2005, we had people very disgruntled in Phoenix, and they said, look, we're out of the market in Phoenix. We're having 6, 9, 12 months vacancy rates. We're only getting $600, $800 a month on our $280,000 property. Excuse me just a minute. This is Henri, and he just barks at me if he can't be in the video. And they were very unhappy with that because the return on investment was terrible. And I was telling them, well, for $140,000, you can get $1,300 a month and rent it in 30 to 60 days. And that was the market in 2005, and they sold out. What happens in these markets like Phoenix and like Las Vegas is that more and more investors keep coming in. The smart investors are already done. Now the investors that don't know what they're doing are going in there and buying. And they're oversaturating the market for rental property. And what happens when that happens is that supply and demand, just like owner-occupant homes, gets skewed towards oversupply. If there is an oversupply, things sit on the market, and then also people get very competitive because they want to at least get something out of their property. So the $1,400 rent becomes $1,200 rent, becomes $900 rent. You get the idea. So in Oklahoma City, that's not happening. We're running a 1 to 3% vacancy rate. And I'll give you an example of why we don't push people just to buy anything. Our integrity is at stake on this, and this is why I've been doing investments still for 23 years and having people coming back and buying. I have an investor right now qualified for 5 properties. He has not bought anything yet, even after 90 days of looking. We are very, very strict about meeting his demands for parameters, and we're not just going to sell him something or try to put a sales job on just to make a sale and say, hey, this is a great $150,000 property, you ought to buy it, when we know that it's going to rent for $1,100. What we prefer to do is do what I did today, is sell a short sale that was a 4-bed, 3-bath, 3-car garage at $175,000, needs about $10,000 worth of work, has an incredibly low vacancy rate. We'll probably rent it at $2,200 before it's even closed. And what that does is give this investor a 13% capitalization rate and a 30% cash on cash. In other words, he's getting 30% of his money back in the first year. $2,200 a month, a $930 a month payment. That's our idea of what we want to do for you. And we are not going to err on the supply side. We're going to err on the demand side. We want much more demand. So if you're going to deal with me, and if you want to be a new investor with me for long-term investment, and to do this right, we're going to get the right property for you. Otherwise, we're not going to sell it. We want you to know that we want you to be patient. We're going to find this property. It's a long-term thing that we're looking at with you. And so we are going to be very, very cautious. We are going to do the right thing. That's how a realtor builds up his integrity. That's how a realtor gets people coming back for more. That's the only way that we're going to do it. So the bad news is it's going to be hard to find your property. The good news is once we find that property, it's going to be a doozy. It is going to return like crazy. So get a hold of me at joe@joepryor.com. We'll start with you. We'll discuss things. We'll start looking. And we're going to get you something that's going to help you build long-term wealth. This is Joe Pryor at thevirtualrealestateteam.com in Oklahoma City, where we deliver traditional real estate values at the speed of technology.